on Facebook. You have to be really observant to catch the people going by on Facebook. So this is the first of the Take Action Tuesdays, Mark McMillan. Thank you very much. Royalty checks in the mail. Yeah. 1/100th of 1% of all the revenue we generate in the next half hour goes to Mark. So, send your donations to Inspired Outcomes and Mark McMillan. There you go. So Take Action Tuesdays. Well, we are taking action. Globally, we're taking action. I mean, everybody stood down, or most people stood down. And according to the experts, now see that in NLP, that's what we call a meta model violation, according to the experts. Which experts specifically? Well, I don't know which experts specifically, but according to the experts, we seem to have flattened the curve a little bit, and we're starting to open things up. I know on the weekend, Canadian Tire was open. Like crazy, it was open. I've never seen Canadian Tire have so many people in it. In the middle of a, sort of stage 1 opening. I've never seen a Canadian Tire parking lot filled. You couldn't park anywhere. I've never seen 50 or 60 people lined up to buy plants. So here we go. And Tara Tara shopped all weekend at Canadian Tire, as you can see. But yeah, so according to the experts, we're doing really well, and we're starting to open up. We've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of info sessions by various people around the planet, and getting, I think, what I would call a more rounded perspective on what's possible and what's happening. And some of the people, like our own naturopathic doctor, Brianne, who's in our center, said right at the outset, everybody will come in contact with COVID-19. Everybody around the globe will come in contact with it. You cannot not come into contact unless you live in a cave and don't come out and don't see other people. And some of us will get in contact and nothing will happen. Some of us will get in contact and the virus will be live and will be asymptomatic, and some of us will be symptomatic. Some of us will get very sick, but it's like all other viruses. So the fact that we're having this stage 1 coming out party doesn't mean anything other than, we've seemed to manage the huge, the initial rush of cases and of course fatalities. And so we've been listening to podcasts about what to do about your own health then, knowing that you're going to be exposed to this virus and a million other viruses every year. Now, I don't know how many people who are listening actually have the flu vaccine every year, but the flu vaccine is a new vaccine every year. The smartest minds around the world try and determine what flus we'll be experiencing next year, come up with a vaccine. Sometimes they're super accurate and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just not. So when you start listening to people who are in the immunology world about coming up with a vaccine for COVID-19, and when you listen to them saying that COVID-19 is not going to be a stationary target, like all influenzas, it's probably going to morph and move and adjust. So, I think that when I hear people say that we're only going to be able to come out fully when we have a vaccine, it is probably not going to happen in its entirety. That's my sense. It's my sense alone. So if I believe that, and I do believe that I'm going to come in contact with COVID-19, and I'm over 65, so it puts me in a much higher incident of being sick. However, I don't have any respiratory issues. I don't have any cardiac issues. I'm not in any immunosuppressed or immunocompromised issues. So even being 65, I feel that my likelihood of getting sick. But having said all of that, I think it's still really important to do your very best to keep your immune system running optimally, to do the very best to be optimally healthy. And I think there's lots of ways to be able to do that. And so one of the ways is to maintain our emotional state. We know the body of knowledge, the body of literature around negative emotional states and being susceptible to disease is absolutely sound and not refutable. So maintaining positive emotional states, neutral or positive emotional states. Now, I'm not saying you can never have a negative emotion, but your negative emotions should be what we call appropriate and warranted.
So one of the things that really seems to be that people seem to be facing perhaps more now, you can't really avoid it, is all of the conflict that has been out there in terms of people's beliefs, right? So this is a really good time, and we're going to address it today, to be able to keep the mindset not only in terms of your own health and your own, inner stuff that you're battling. So at every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, the more grounded you can be, the more conscious and aware of it you can be, the healthier you're going to be. But you're facing conflict right now in a way where each of us, I haven't met anyone yet who doesn't have an opinion one way or the other about whether they feel as though the shutdown was unnecessary. They're like over at the extreme end of like, this was terribly managed, we shouldn't be following anything that the government says, I won't wear the mask, all that stuff, over to the other end of the people who are still really, really, really afraid, right? The people that are really in a place where they wish everyone was still in a shutdown, they want to be masked and gloved and all that kind of stuff. So what we're noticing, of course, as we do when things are this in contrast, is that there's a lot of like fighting going along on Facebook. There's a lot of families that are coming to us and saying that they're really in dilemma because their opinions with their spouses even are so different. And so
within their own family unit, and then within their extended family, and then within their social unit. So today we want to talk about improving your health, improving your opportunity for health, if you would, for helping yourself stay emotionally buoyant, and especially avoid the pitfall, what I quoted as saying, we feel and then we think about it, we feel and think, and it's a cycle. We get very focused on it, we feel and then think, focus, and that starts driving our behavior, and that starts creating our environment, and we end up feeling. So it's just a cycle. The focus is what we're thinking on, behavior, our environment, our feelings, and around we go. Feel, think, feel, think, feel, think. And ultimately the feelings start overwhelming any thought. So Tara and I work, and the other coaches that we work with people who are stuck in negative emotional states. And when, it's not as simple as just saying, think about a positive thought, and you'll be all good. Because the feeling part, your body becomes so strong. And we were having a conversation on the weekend with somebody really close to us, and I was sitting back listening to his pattern of conversation, and he was locked in the feel, think, feel, think, feel, think, and in great detail, up to including feeling like he was getting a disease during COVID, and up to his pattern, what he did at day's end, what he watched just before he went to bed. So today we want to talk about how we can maximize our immune system, maximize our genetics, what we are given, and we know that our environment, our belief system, opens up, unravels our genetic sequence. We know that from Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and other mainstream researchers. Yeah, just 1 second. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go reintroduce the emotional state management tools that we've been talking about every session, and at the end we're going to close with a quick exercise as well. So this is all about helping all of us, Tara and I included, manage our emotional states so that our immune system can run wide open to defeat not only COVID, but all the other bacteria and viruses that we run into, because that's how we create a healthy immune system, by actually being exposed and responding.
So I want to just mention here that sometimes it can be difficult to maintain a really good state if there are, in fact, a situation that you're in that is causing a great deal of stress, right? So we tend to, of course, what we want to be doing is figuring out how to more permanently keep ourselves in a really resourceful state that's going to promote the best state of mind, both emotional state, all that stuff. But I want you also to understand that there is great value in just being able to dip into a good state every now and again. So say you're having one of those days where there's a lot of stress around you and it must be dealt with and it just is stressful. I would suggest to you that if you can find little things, so if you can find a moment where you take a 10-minute break to yourself and you go outside and you look at the birds and choose to just stay focused on that bird building the nest, or listen to music or whatever it is, to spend some time, it's going to do your body a tremendous amount of good, specifically with regards to your immune system. Your immune system, so all of the chemicals that we release when you're actually in an active stress response. So when you're moving towards your sympathetic response and the body is reacting the way that it's perfectly designed if there is a real stress. But if you stay in that state, doctors know this to the point where if somebody gets like an organ transplant or any sort of transplant, they actually use the stress chemicals they actually inject them with these stress chemicals. It's what they use because they know that when you're in that state, that your immune system gets completely suppressed. And therefore, the body will not reject the new organ, right?
Think about that. So that's how powerful these chemicals are. Your body would normally reject the new organ. So when injected with these chemicals, the same chemicals that you produce when you're depressed, anxious, angry, when injected with those chemicals, your body's immune system suppresses to the degree where you don't reject the new organ.
So you don't have to sweat it. We all have moments and days and that sort of thing where we do have stress. My point here is that if you can break that, so imagine that you're stressed in a way where your immune system is suppressed, but you're able to just like come out of it for 2 hours and watch a great movie that you love, or you're able to go for a walk or a run and just clear your mind and listen to music or whatever. What's essentially happening is that you're coming out of that phase and your immune system will also activate. And it's better to have your immune system activated in bursts throughout the day so that you actually have an active immune system than giving up. You know, we use the joke about like if you had $1,000 and you lost $10, would you throw away all the rest? Or would you just use what you have? So if you have something going on, don't throw away your ability to maintain health and wellness within you. Take those little bits. And Alan's going to talk about sort of a longer term how to get in a habit of breaking those negative states.
So there is so much literature about the positive things we can do. That's my one beef. If I'm going to go on a soapbox, I'm going to go on a rant. That's my beef here, the suppression of information about what we can do as individuals to stay healthy. Naturopathic doctors across North America have literally been forbade, talk to any naturopathic doctor, forbade about talking about how to supplement or improve the immune system since March 15th. Why is that? How is that okay? So that's my rant. So that was my whole rant. I almost went for it and then I got a hold of myself. See, I can control my emotions, Tara. I can. The other piece is we're sequestered indoors. And the body of knowledge about being out in nature, just the sheer act of being in nature, the health benefits of being out in nature. And in Southern Ontario where we live, there are so many paths that are so easy to social distance on, and there are so many areas, conservation areas, that you can go out there and just be in nature. The other thing is there's way more oxygen. There's way more oxygen out there. And so that's a good thing. So let's go back to the very beginning where we started. So I was talking about this think, feel, think, feel, think, feel. Now, if your think, feel cycle is creating incredible results for you, embrace it, practice it, be aware of it, wear it, anchor it. Oh, I'm in my positive think, feel cycle. I'm creating great results.
And notice it. Notice it
Yes.
in every of the activities that you do. So if you just paused for a second and said, okay, what's the last significant thing you did? And by significant, it could be like, you made yourself a smoothie or something in the morning. But whatever you were last motivated to do. So for many of you, it's like, turn on this thing that we're doing at 11 o'clock.
Come and see us.
Or 12 o'clock on Tuesday, right? You made that decision. And just stop for a moment right now and just ask yourself, what did I think? How did I feel? What did I think? How did I feel? Knowing that it's going to go back and forth. Just about everything that we do is going to have some thinking, feeling, think, feel. It's going to have sort of a sequence to it. And see if you can't I'll stop talking for a second and do it. See if you can't identify some thoughts and some feelings that are immediately triggered by those thoughts.
Well, let me do the break state, and we'll do it right now. Okay? So, right from the beginning, we said if you find yourself getting in a funky mood, we teach a break state tool that works every time to break the emotional state. So if you're in the think, feel, and the feel isn't okay, then break state. So how do we break state? We look up, We see our telephone number on a billboard. Some of you have pink numbers on dark blue backgrounds or lime green backgrounds. Good on you. And you read your telephone number backwards, right? So mine is 1-558-389-746. There you go. So I read it backwards. So I had to do that, I had to get out of my emotional state. I had to look up. Now I'm in my visual quadrant. Then I have to engage my mind and actually see the numbers and read the numbers backwards. And my imagination put colors. That breaks your negative emotional state. So cool. Now you're looking up. Just stare straight up. Just stare straight up. And again, this comes from really learned teachers like Eckhart Tolle. Just sit and stare at a point. Keep your head and eyes steady. And notice that you can see everything in front of you. Comes into focus while your head or eyes steady. And as you do that, start to hear all the sounds around you. So you're focused on everything in the room in this moment. You're hearing all the sounds in this moment. And then I encourage you to feel what you're feeling in this moment in terms of what's the texture of the seat you're on? What's the temperature of the room you're in? What do your clothes feel like against your skin? What's under your feet? And in that moment, when you're just seeing what's ahead of you, hearing what's around you, and feeling the sensorial quality of your environment, you're in the now. And right now, in the now, none of us have any problems. In this moment, we don't have any problems. So that we broke state, now we're really calm. And the longer you stay here, the more your respiration will slow down and get to a nice, calm rhythm. And in fact, the ultimate sign is your breathing drops from your chest into your diaphragm, and your diaphragm breathing nice and calmly. So cool, now you're calm. If you've followed us and you've anchored a positive resource state, if you fire your positive resource state, now you're going to move into a resourceful state. So you went from a negative state, you broke it, you went into a calm state, breathing nicely, and now you're in a positive state. And as soon as you're in a positive state, as Tara said, if you think about something like, I'm going to watch that bird build a nest for a moment, right? Or I'm going to work in my garden. If you like gardening, if you like planting flowers, I'm going to go tend to my garden. If in that moment you do those steps, and the more you do this becomes your normal pattern. So you would think, and if you were feeling yucky, your body would automatically go through those cycles. You'd look up, relax, stay focused, and then move to a positive state. So those fundamental tools, you rehearse them more and more and more. And when you can, like Tara said, and this is so important, be conscious of our think-feel cycles. Our think-feel cycles. Right? And how we justify them even when they're negative. Now, Joe Dispenza talks about being. He talks about two things. He talks about you are the placebo, and as well as we are addicted to our negative emotional states. When we don't know what the future holds, many of us who are in stuck states predict a negative setting or a negative emotion because they know what that feels like. Think about what I just said. For those of us who often experience stuck states, sadness, depression, anxiety, if we don't know what the future holds, we'll predict something where we know we're addicted to our negative emotional states. So if you observe and you're aware consciously of your think, feel, if you're thinking about the future and you're feeling anxious, that's time to break state. And again, your brain is always predicting what emotions you should feel in the future. So when you break state and move into a positive resourceful state and imagine yourself in the future being able to break state and move into a positive state, your brain starts predicting with great accuracy that you can maintain your calm, you can maintain your happiness, you can maintain your joy. Right? You want to jump in? No? Let's keep going. All right, so again, I would really, really encourage you. The other thing is breathing. So many of us spend a lot of time at computers. We have some really high-end holistic fitness coaches on the line with us right now, one in Florida, one just here in Guelph. And they know the power of posture, proper posture, and breathing deeply, allowing the energy circuits in our body to flow and for oxygen to get in them. And so I really, really encourage you to do some form of exercise that gets you off of your device. Because look at my posture when I'm on my device. I'm crunched in. It doesn't matter if I'm on my computer or on my smartphone, which should be renamed my dumb phone. It doesn't matter if I'm on my dumb phone or on my computer. My posture starts collapsing. I start closing off my energy sources. So really, really encourage you to get out, get open, allow your energy to flow. So positive emotional states, allowing your energy meridians to flow, is so very powerful. And then the last thing I'll encourage you to do, and again, everybody here knows I'm a Wim Hof nut, I'm a Joe Dispenza nut, I'm a Bruce Lipton nut. Find somebody who you relate to. Find somebody who, when you listen to them, makes sense. I'm also a Wayne Dyer fan, right? I'm also a Wayne Dyer fan. And all of these people are not just purely academics who stumbled on something amazing. They're people who've been there, done that, got t-shirts. You know, Wayne Dyer was a reformed alcoholic. Joe Dispenza healed his entire body. Bruce Lipton was part of the academic community and rejected it once he understood the power of beliefs on our cell structure. So these people have been there, done it. But you find the person who you relate to, who sounds right for you, and I encourage you to meditate with them. I encourage you to take time to quiet your mind. And COVID-19 has been a blessing on so many levels in that, personally, I'm talking personally now, as my pace has slowed down. I've actually had an opportunity to do more of the things, and I think that gift of time that we've had, if we use it and take it into stage 1 and stage 2 and however many stages there are of getting back to normal, you'll do really well off.
So again, just to close, so the things to really remember are to master your mind, to recognize that you have the choice. So you always have the opportunity to just notice your thought and notice the feeling that's triggered by that thought. And so if the feeling that's getting triggered is one that doesn't serve you, that doesn't put you in the direction of doing what's best for you, then I would challenge the thought, right? Notice what the thought is and use all of the tools. We've talked about so many of them along the way, but like reframe the thought. So maybe you had a thought of like, this is too hard. And then notice the feeling from the thought, this is too hard. What is the feeling that you get? If you notice the feeling is like a sense of defeat or, resignation or something, then that's not going to serve you very well, right? That is not going to help you get where you're going. You know that.
And that feeling will have shape and form in your body.
However, if the response to that, if what you say to yourself is this is too hard, and then you notice the feeling you get is this like determination. It's like a sense of like, you know what? It is too hard and whatever, but you get a sense of like, but I'm determined to be compassionate with myself, to be gentle with myself, and to recognize that even while this is hard, I can set smaller goals or I can take baby steps or whatever it is, then perfect, right? That's a good feeling to keep. So it's in the slowing down and realizing, so say that was the response, then what's the next thought I have? So if the next thought I have is like, so I'll do that tomorrow, well, chances are, check the feeling on that, it may not serve you. If the thought is, okay, I'm going to change something now, then perfect, keep going. But you can slow down any moment of your day, and I would encourage you to do it on even really trivial things, just for kicks, like just for interest's sake. It's sometimes easier to start out doing it with like, when I decide to feed my cat, because my cat's meowing, what is my thought, right? The cat's hungry. What is my feeling?
What is my thought?
I'm going to get this done, or the feeling is going to be something like purpose, right? I've got a purpose right now. I know what I'm doing. And so for that, 13 seconds, you have purpose, you have, affection for your cat, you have all these things. Yes. And it's an easy way to recognize like, okay, so where it is working, as Al said, when it's positive, how can you take those things and maybe try them on somewhere else? We have a strategy that we learned in NLP where if you want to motivate yourself or somebody else, you think about what do you say in the morning just before you swing your feet out of bed and put them on the floor. Some people say, woo-ha! All right, here I go. Some people say, woo-ha! Some people say, all right, it's time. Or some people talk to themselves, right? Some days I would actually say to myself, okay, Tara, get up, let's go. Now, if I wanted to capture that thought and use it in a different part of my life, if I'm sitting down to do my schoolwork and I know I'm lacking in a bit of like positivity or something, if I get those words and say, okay, Tara, it's time, let's go, I've triggered in me a feeling that is going to create motivation. So with all of those things, just practice doing it and understand that you can become the master of your mind that way. The second piece is what I mentioned about, like, give yourself these little breaks. It's not for nothing. I used to get really caught up in, and still do sometimes, with like, oh, that was great, you know, so I went for a walk for 20 minutes and it was fantastic, but I came home to the same whatever, and the feeling of like, well, that was for nothing. But the truth is that wasn't for nothing. That gave me 20 minutes of readjusting, resetting, my system got back into like fighting form, and it contributed to my overall health. And so yeah, I may have to work for that hour that I get home through some stuff, but if I can get another 10 minutes later and continue to do that for yourself, and your health and your immunity will thank you, and your health will thank you, and your mind will thank you, and your emotional state.
So I'll just close with this thought, and it's from the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu wrote it, and you've heard it quoted many ways, but it actually comes from his teachings 2,600 years ago, that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and that's the same with positive emotional states. As Tara said, if it's 10 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, if it's 2 minutes, if it's 13 seconds feeding your cat, embrace it, enjoy it, be conscious of it, notice how good it feels, and anchor it. See you all Tuesday, a week from now on Take Action Tuesday.